seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat, then I ain't taking, son.
So this is,
that's
Sabacc?
Yeah,
Sabacc.
Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome back to Sabacc the Block. This is our coverage of episode 9 of Andor. This is that new Star Wars show that everyone's talking about. We are in episode 9. We are 3 episodes away from the finale. But so far, we're here to talk about this episode. I'm excited to get into it right now because I'm here with RB3 in the house. We are still in prison. We're still experiencing this crazy, insane prison industrial complex to the nth level. With this episode especially going into the inner workings of what it is to be in there. RB3, I feel like that's like the highlight of this episode, but I want to start with you right away as far as what you think of episode 9 of Andor so far.
Yeah, I thought it was another brilliant, well-written chapter to continue the story, and I think they, like we've been saying for all these weeks going as we've been doing the show, they land on addressing heavy social justice issues, heavy social issues, not just social justice, just social issues in general, and leave you to really believing why a spark in the rebellion is necessary. But at the same time, they give you enough like of the menacing characters that you kind of start to root for them. For me, like even though like Deidre is not the most like charismatic person, I'm definitely like starting to be like, oh yeah, she is rallying those troops, like she is doing a pretty like amazing job. And then you see Surreal like, approaching her like as she's like walking back, like trying to also like snuggle up to a position of power after he just got trashed on by his mom, per usual. So it's just like good seeing all these characters kind of coming to their own in this series, and while Andor is literally trapped behind bars, trying to come out of his own, trying to come, get out of the situation that he's in.
So it's interesting for me because after last episode, we learn about this kind of laboratory, factory kind of mentality as far as you're basically a machine or a cognitive machine for this prison industrial complex where you're building machines and you're used as free labor, essentially, where they even say in this episode that the reason that they use you is because you're cheaper than droids. Because you're just prisoners. You get
easy
free
to replace.
labor. Yeah, just
slavery.
Because of who you are. It's literally slavery is essentially what it is. And that's what Andor is currently facing. So in my head, RB3, I don't know about you, but I thought picking up in this episode, we were going to see kind of a Cassian that was a little bit broken or a little bit kind of in over his head. But what we got instead is a Cassian that's still a G, bro. A G to the end. Like straight up. Like we see that he's building the machine and he's all like gung-ho about it. And I'm like, all right, he probably got used to it. He's committed to the cause now. It's like, nope. He's talking to all these inmates. He's talking about how many guards are on each level. He's trying to get out. He's like, I'm still Cassian. I'm not working for the Empire. I don't care about all this BS. I'm going to pretend that I'm committed to working in this factory. And in reality, I'm going to go to the bathroom and try to cut these wires. What do you think about Cassian all still being Cassian? It's already trying to break out of prison.
To me, it's to be expected. Like he is definitely more observant than I think the rest of the people, and the inmates, all the rest of the inmates. And I think we kind of observed that a little bit in the last episode when he was kind of carefully observing like how the boots and how people are like timing in and out their way in, the guards are timing their way in and out of it. And you can kind of see even more like he's kind of talking about it out loud with the black homie, when they're like, oh, should we like attack when they're like halfway down, or should we wait until like they're all the way up? Like, and like you said, there's coordination amongst multiple inmates, and there's multiple inmates across multiple sectors that are coordinating and trying to communicate with each other. And that's ultimately what leads to this like tragic, really like massacre situation where we learn that 2 whole floors of people, there's 49 people 49 people per floor, or 49 people per day. So it's like over 100 people, almost 100 people that got massacred just because of how they're feeling. So it's just like, just because the Empire. So that definitely brings a dark awakening to something we already knew was true in both real life, but also in the Star Wars universe, that the Empire doesn't care. You know, imperialism doesn't care. They, you know, human life is disposable and wastable and easy to dispose of. And as soon as things got out of line and the question and the power was questioned, there was no problem in execution and genocide and massacre.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this whole episode kind of leads up to that reveal at the end. I think we can just jump to it because it's such a cool, crazy, realistic, jarring, sobering reveal of what the Empire is doing inside this prison. And that is when Andy Serkis finds out, when that doctor comes up to that old man who's already on his deathbed, and they find out that homie that they knew that was supposed to be set free a while ago was actually sent to another level. And in reality, it's this loop system inside the prison that those days that they're counting down to is not really to get out, but actually to go back in and to go to another level. And it's just this entire loop of them never getting out. And that's when Andy Serkis realizes, I really forgot his name.
Kino?
Kino realizes that, wait a minute, they told me I was being promoted. They told me they were taking time off my sentence. They told me all this good stuff to be a nice, you know, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed manager to keep everyone in line. And in reality, they weren't going to set me free any earlier. They were just going to send me to another level. Like, that blew my mind. I don't know about you, but when he was like, yo, they just keep sending people to other levels, they're not going to set you free, I was like, this is insane. It's already 10 leagues out of the sun for me when it comes to this prison. But what do you think of that whole twist at the end?
Yeah, I mean, that was heavy. And I mean, I think that's definitely something. I mean, we've seen that in a couple, I think, you know, there's been a couple different like prison movies and played with that like concept, like roughly of like the endless loop. But the way they kind of, especially how tragic we see like Olaf's story, right? I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and how he literally is like barely making it to the end, like stumbling, literally. He has a massive stroke towards the end of the episode because he's literally been working and grinding his bones off towards the very end of his life. And I believe, you know, shout out to the New Rockstars people. I watched their video and they pointed this out too. But Olaf was supposed to get off in like a month originally, but they doubled everybody's, or 5 times everybody's sentences or whatever. So then by the time Andor, when they say like, oh, his like 30 shifts are up, like 30 days, like when they cut to that time jump in the previous episode, that really should have been Olaf's like last day when he was first starting to like feel sick and starting to fall off. But then like tragically, like he ends up with the longer sentence. But as we know, that sentence number doesn't even really matter because you end up getting looped back around. And that's what's so funny because like you were mentioning with Kino, like how Andor kept asking him, like, how many guards are on this for? How many guards on this for? And he just kept insisting on not telling Andor. And Andor just told him, like, look, the Empire don't care. They have so much power. They have so much ego that they're so ignorant that they just don't care. They're not listening at all, which I think is also which is also like another powerful parallel and reason to imperialistic governments too, right? To like the governments that are honestly like the US government, for example, right? Like how we do live in a hyper police state, we do live in a surveillance state, but there's so many of us. Are they really listening to every single one of us? Like everybody has this whole theory of like, oh, I have my FBI agent or whatever. There's not an FBI agent for everybody, but it's the idea, it's the fear that you're being watched that like keeps everybody in check. So it's just an interesting dichotomy all around.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely fascinating the way that Andor was trying to. It's kind of crazy how much I said this a couple episodes back. It might have been episode 5. He's kind of a genius. Like even in just sociology, like Andor really is kind of a sociological genius when it comes to the way he talks to Andy Serkis. He knows how to get on his good side when he's saying, hey man, look how good I'm working. And even there's that moment where he says like, hey, was this your idea? Man, you're doing a pretty good job. Like you're getting in first place. Like even Andy Serkis acknowledges how much of a good worker Andor is. And that allows him to kind of pry a little bit when he starts to ask him about how many guards are on each level and how can we escape. And then Andy Serkis shuts him down. And then he says, hey, man, you really think they're listening? Like, that's dumb. Like, why would they care about us? We're already trapped in this prison. And then in that very other scene, the very next scene, we see Andy Serkis's character be like, wait, what's going on in level 2? What's happening? And then Andor shuts him down. He's like, bro, quiet. They're listening. And I was like, yo, this is like a double twist in his head telling him like, wait a minute. If they're not listening and they don't really care about us, that makes sense. But if they are listening, that's way worse, because that means they're probably going to torture us or kill us or massacre us, like you said about that other level. And that kind of shakes Andy to his core, Andy Serkis's character to his core, where he's like, oh crap, you're kind of right. Like maybe they will get on our back. We get on their bad side and they take it out on us. It's this huge twist that Cassian is playing like 4D chess with Andy Serkis's head and with everyone, talking about like, hey man, think about it. Whether they listen to us or not, they're still not going to let us escape or kill us all anyways if we try to escape, or even if we question them. So what choice do we have but to escape? And that's this crazy level of sociology that Andor is playing because of how he's able to get and rally these guys to his side. It's kind of, I think I'm blown away by it, how he's able to get even Andy Serkis by the end of this episode to his side. Whereas it seems like other people have been with him for years, and yet in 30 days, Cassian is like, I got you, bro. Tell me how many guys are on each floor now, because you're thinking what I'm thinking now. I just thought that was fascinating for sure.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show you like how strong of a leader Andor is too. Like
incredible.
Yeah, because the way he's not only able to rally up Kino in this fight, but he's literally able to rally up like almost half of the people in the right, even amongst his own like team of 7, like he's kind of like calling the shots and facilitating and being like, oh, like Tiger, move here, like
and he did that in 30 days. I was like, yo,
yeah,
this guy's crazy. Yeah,
so he's a natural innovator, and like you said, like having, especially in a rebellion, in this like quote unquote rebellion fight, you know, outside of the prison, where we are seeing like actual leaders like Mon Mothma being put like to the flame, and where she's literally in front of the Senate, and mad people are like heckling, booing, as you know, as the Empire is, you know, taking a more like a less democratic approach, like as we're heading more towards that like fascism, single leader approach that we become familiar with by the time we hit A New Hope. So it's just fascinating that like we're starting to see that disillusionment both within the prison, both on both sides, right? On both the underground side of the people who are getting that rebellion spark, but also on the powerful side with the elites, as they're slowly starting to unravel in their you know, quest towards like fascism.
I mean, it's really fascinating what's going on in this entire show, but I really did feel like his character specifically, Andy Serkis's character, Kino, really did exemplify the follow the rules, do the right thing kind of guy, and you'll be rewarded. And then when he discovers that that's been a lie this whole time, and all this time they've been telling him, all you have to do is get everyone to quiet down, get everyone on their good side, get everyone to follow the rules and stay in line, and you'll be rewarded for it. In reality, he was getting no reward at all. And in reality, he was just going to get sent to another level and be sent back up to another loop, back up with another 365 days, and do the same thing over and over again. And him trying to be convinced that maybe this time I'll be able to escape, and maybe this time I'll be set free, because they've seen how good I've been and how much productivity I've delivered for them, has always been a lie this whole time. And that they kind of hint that that old man, I forget his name already, his character has been there for a couple loops. Ulaf has been there for maybe a couple loops because of his already mind has been breaking, and how the first thing they attack is your mind, convincing you that this loop you're in has always been the way it was, and that this is just the way things are, and that you just have to pull your weight and do your thing and keep going and just survive till the next day. And that's it. Everything else has been a lie. So I have just been absolutely blown away by this episode, especially by the end of it. But we do have to move on to Mon Mothma because you've mentioned her character, her Senate meetings. What'd you think of the twist of her cousin being Vel, and she's actually working with Luthen, and how Mon Mothma knows that she's working with Luthen? How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting too, right? And I think it just goes to further show like the strength in that connection and why. Yeah, I think for a while I thought Luthen and Val were like related. Honestly, I thought they were the ones that were father, daughter, or cousins or something like that. But yeah, seeing the relationship between Ma and Val makes more sense because it's like we have Val literally underground during the rebellion fight, and we have my Mothma trying to do it like at a top level, elite level kind of situation. But when you're doing it on the ground, doing it scrappy like Val, it's kind of easy to get like, and they're woven with somebody like Luthen, who's ready to act in a little more of a vicious and a little more heavy, over the top kind of way. Not over the top, but I guess some people would describe his style as like over the top or like bombastic or huge and not quiet. So it's just funny that they come from that same bloodline. They both essentially represent the same thing, but they just, again, it's the conversation of approaches, right? It's like last episode we saw Luthen and Saw Gerrera and how they discussed their approach. This episode we're kind of seeing how my Mothma's approach and how her approach is leading to difficulties moving money around, why she got to rely on the homeboy Tay. His name sounds it's so funny. His name almost sounds like so made up. Her friend, like the friend that like she hangs out with, it's like I forget what his name is, but it's so.
Which one's there?
The guy who she's funneling the money with, like her old grade school friend.
Yeah.
Who they think is like
I can't
her boyfriend.
Even try. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like the best name in the world. It's literally something I would like write as a 5th grader. But that the way that they're exchanging they're exchanging money and getting close, it's almost making the husband, I think, starting to get a little jealous, right? The way they're talking about him and something like that. So I think that's all going to play into, and that's something I really applaud about this show, is that they really play into real human drama, real human circumstances, and real political circumstances. And I had texted you this morning, like when I watched the episode, like, yo, this is literally written by the guy who was the House of Cards guy, the Bolt Williamson or something like that. Literally the guy who's the creator of House of Cards. But he's not even the creator of this show. He's one of the writers. The creator of House of Cards is one of the writers of this show. That's the kind of top tier, elite level, Emmy winning writing like we're talking about here. So it's like when they're having these like conversations and kind of like these little subtextual innuendos, I'm like hanging on to every word for it. And you can really tell it's like some real, like I said, political espionage stuff. I'm digging it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And obviously by the end, that scene with Mon Mothma, we see her being told by her banker homie, whose name is crazy, that she has to meet with this crazy, what it seems like an a-hole, extreme senator or extreme politician who owns a lot of money, and that she has to kind of pretend to be someone she's not. And except this time she's pretending in front of someone who's hardcore, who's like extreme. And I thought that was a very interesting setup for probably next week when she meets with him, who she says that he's a complete monster and a greedy human being. I thought that was kind of a cool setup to be like, she can pretend in front of like normal moderates, but how is she going to do in front of like a hardcore imperialist, to the bone kind of person? Like, how is she going to pretend to get funds from that kind of person? And that's kind of an interesting setup.
Well, it's funny. It's interesting that, you interpret this person as like a senator or another politician. I literally thought the way he was talking,
like a rich, greedy guy who's like hardcore imperialist.
Yeah. I feel like I thought they were literally implying like a criminal, like an actual.
Oh, really?
Like, because they're like, oh, he's like, because they say like he's the wealthiest thug in the universe. Like,
when I heard thug, I thought of like, I don't know, like some sort of Fox Corporation, the Murdochs. I don't know.
I mean, well, that's one level of criminal. I think it goes a little deeper than that. I think it would be. I think it would be somebody who's like a fat old guy, like a fat rich old person. But I think they also didn't make their money legally. I think, but I don't think this like. I think it would be somebody who like make their money
like
on
mafia?
like. Yeah, like a mafia person. Yeah, essentially. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of thinking like that kind of direction was going. But I don't know. It could go either way, honestly, because we do see a lot of different shades of like of elites who are, I don't know, like who are corrupted just because of like being beholden to the emperor and being beholden to the government, and there's people who are literally like money corrupted. I'm just talking about like in real life and versus Andor. But yeah, we see like all kinds of different degrees of like bad guys so far in this show. So I'm kind of interested, where is this person going to land? Are they going to be somebody who's who's like more of like straight up evil, or I kind of think of it like chaotic evil or like neutral evil. Like I think of Dendra is like chaotic evil because she'll like torture you, and then they'll have this weird Dr. Gao thing. By the way, oh my gosh, the whole torture sequence was so expertly set up and put together. The way we had this whole monologue from this doctor dude, like, oh yeah, creepy we took dude. Like, yeah, super creepy doctor dude, like, oh yeah, we took the screams of like these dying children from this planet and altered them and like mastered them, and like I'm like, yo, what are they talking about? And the way the camera just like kind of pushes in slowly just to that like close up of Bix's eyes, and you don't even hear the sound that she's hearing, but you just like hear her reaction and her scream. It was just powerful.
It's insane. I mean, obviously they set up, in my opinion, I kind of was thinking about what you were saying in the beginning of this episode, as far as rooting for Deidre or Dedra. I can't wait till she gets capped. I can't wait till Cyril gets literally shot in the face. Like all these people, man, I can't lie, bro. There's so many people on Twitter who are like, I don't know, just kind of like endeared with these imperialistic characters. And I can't wait for them to be like decapitated, bro, like straight up, like lightsaber style, and like gangster, like hit. Like I want Cyril to die so bad, and I can't wait. And I guarantee he's gonna die, and I guarantee it's gonna be hysterical. I'm saying this right now. I've said I was gonna tweet this out, but I think it's too dark. I don't know. People think I'm dark on Twitter, and I've already lost like so many followers, but I can't wait till Cyril comes face to face with Cassian, and he's gonna be like, Cassian Andor, you killed my father, prepare to die. Like he's gonna have this moment of like, I'm Cyril Karn, I'm the biggest badass you've ever seen, and he's gonna try and pull out his gun, and Cassian's just gonna shoot him in the face and walk away, and it's gonna be so funny, like Indiana Jones style, where he's just gonna be like spinning a sword, and Cassian's just gonna be like, you're dead. All this time you've been thinking about me. I kill you in 2 seconds, man. You're nothing.
Nah, I mean,
I think the guy's a clown. Like, homie's a clown, bro. A simp and a clown. Straight up simping hard.
He
like,
ain't simping. I don't know about simping.
Bro, he's hitting that OnlyFans. He's hitting that chat. Like, homie's hitting that super subscriber. Like, bro is like, he's trying to get at Didra. He's trying so hard, bro. He's trying to, but he's trying too hard though. You gotta admit it.
That'd be the best. That'd be a perfect power couple. I mean, he gotta come on hard to somebody like Deidre though, because she ain't gonna show no weakling at the time of day. And by the way, the way Deidre's little assistant dude, I love his character is so funny to me. His character is hilarious every time he speaks. But the way he was like, oh yeah, for one, when Deidre first walks into the office and she's like, oh, he's like, oh yeah, Andor is like really like running this planet, and we already got like da. And she's like, all right, cool, like let's do it. And she's like, already done. I'm like, dang, is he trying to like kiss butt? Like trying to like, what's he trying to do? Is he trying to slide too? Yeah, like what's going on? And in the very next scene, they're defending Deidre's like moves and saying how Andor was connected to the attack at the Garrison, and then he brought up the whole facial hair thing, which is like extremely detailed. Like if you're caring that much about the case, you're way deeper invested for some particular reason. So I think that character is either really into Deidre and wants something out of it, or he might be playing both sides somehow. I don't know.
I think they're setting up to like potentially the death of Deidre and Cyril by the end, and maybe he takes over, and maybe that's what they're setting up with. As far as like, there's going to be this twist where maybe Deidre fails in capturing Andor at the end of the season, and then maybe they're like, okay, you get executed. He takes your job because he's just as good as you are, or something like that. Maybe that's what they're setting up to. Right. But either way, Cyril, my homie, my brother, my imperialistic dude, sad homie, serial homie. You need to calm down, bro. Deidre's gonna end up singing that one I Spy song. You thought I was feeling you?
Nah, don't do my man cereal like that. Let him eat his blue cereal in peace. Let Cereal eat a cereal.
Bro.
Cereal eat a cereal.
Too much, man. Too much. But either way, man, yeah, I feel like everything they're setting up is absolutely phenomenal in this show. I can't wait for these next 3 episodes. I'm so excited for next episode, which I think is going to be the prison escape. I think that's finally going to be what they set up to. And then the final 2 episodes are going to be kind of like the closing chapter in this Luthen kind of Mon Mothma kind of big picture kind of scenario. But when it comes to Cassian escaping, I think that's next week. But yeah, man, what do you think of this episode so far, and what do you think what's going to happen in the future?
Well, I think this episode is great. I think every episode is great. I definitely think these last 3 episodes are going to be a lot more action packed. I think for one, the way the show just kind of sets up is like rhythm of like, oh, we're gonna get some action started, and then kind of slow it up a little bit, and then kind of build up to an exciting place. I think the past 3 or so episodes have been more of like build up for something pretty big, and I think if not the very next episode 10 is the next one. If not that one, episode 11 and 12 are going to be like super, super action heavy, like from like top to bottom, which is cool. But I'm also cool with it not being action heavy too, because I'm just loving like the social drama, the talking, all that. But yeah, great all around.
I forgot to mention one scene about the ISB Imperials talking about torturing that pilot. And how they were just talking about it as if they were talking about like, I don't know, like literally a piece of furniture.
Yeah, like what they're going to order for lunch.
Yeah, right? What they're going to order for. They're just like, oh, but what if we kill the pilot and we just put him in the pilot's chair and they just find him there and they're like, yo, that's it. That's dope. Let's do it right now. Let's go. That's a dope. I was just like, what is happening?
Right, staging
these guys are so evil, bro.
yeah. Nah, that was fun. That was funny, and it was maxed out because it's like they didn't need to. They're thinking of ways to not only just kill the pilot, but how to like lure out the rest of the rebels and like infiltrate them too. It's just like it was just different. It's just
next
deep.
level.
And that's really, again, it goes all back to like what real life governments do. That's exactly what real life governments do when they catch a war prisoner or catch a terrorist, send them back into their people, and then let that be the surveillance. That's how the U.S. caught a lot of like terrorists like recently in like the war of terror. So it's real.
It's absolutely insane, man. And obviously that torture scene is another example of how evil they are too. You already mentioned that. I was just thinking about how they set that up to be so crazy. That I was like, man, what if it's not, what if it's like that's just my tires screeching. But I told you this crazy story about children dying and getting like burned alive or something, and in reality it's like a squeaky wheel that I looped.
That's why I was literally wondering like, what sound can they produce that's going to be this horrifying? Like this is going to
that was pretty bad though. That's up there. That would definitely be torture for sure, especially audio. Be tortured audio wise is very disturbing. So down with the Empire, up with the Rebellion. We are back next week for another recap of episode 10, but that was our recap of episode 9. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below of this episode so far. You can follow me at Squad Leader Ace RB3.
You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3 and watch this show. People, stop sharing screenshots of, Baby Yoda or whatever in the stupid cartoon that they just put out. No, forget all that. All right. Watch some real cinema. This is real TV. Not saying that Tales of the Jedi isn't real TV, but this is real cinema, people. Cinema.
Are you talking about Tales of the Jedi? Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Talking about Yaddle?
Yeah. Is that what that is?
That's Yaddle.
Yaddle, whatever that is. Yeah. With people sharing these screenshots, they want to get new Yoda and want to see some lightsabers. It's good. It's for the kids. You know what I mean? But know what the adults are watching, and the adults are watching Andor and watching it every week religiously. And after it's over, we're going to go back and re-binge it again for the Emmy considerations.
Oh, it better win a ton of Emmys, man. That's for sure. But yeah, shout out to Tales of the Jedi. I thought it was fun too. There's actually a good storyline in that too. That's actually
it's for the kids.
Oh,
the adults are watching Andor.
You see it? Did you see it? Are watching Andor. The Count Dooku one is dope. It's dope. I really liked it. But either way, guys, those were our thoughts. Subscribe to First Cut if you haven't done so already. Leave us a like and all that good stuff. It really helps us out. But either way, for Sabacc the Block and for the First Cut crew, we're gonna be peacing out. So deuces.